Chapter 61, Can't find the recommended position on mobile phone. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Alas, my recommendation can only be seen in the comic adaptation column below the computer version. I haven't used the mobile version and can't find it, but I hope it is there. Chapter 62, Evil Hoklap. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Under the sun, Ryan looked at Kate, who was still sulking, with a speechless face. Does it mean that we should let girls play games? Ryan yawned boredly. There is still almost an afternoon left. If it keeps like this, there will be no fun. Yes. Ryan pretended to be surprised. Kate looked sideways at him, and then quickly turned back as if nothing had happened. Dang dang dang. What do you think this is? Ryan pulled out a strange creature from the air on the right side like a prank. It was a dark brown, similar to an elf without wings, about 7 inches in size. I saw this little thing struggling violently in Ryan's hand, but it seemed to be gently restrained by invisible spider webs, making a weird sound. Kate couldn't help but be attracted by this funny-looking creature and couldn't help but get closer and observe. This should be a little devil. It usually lives in moist and soft environments, such as near river banks. Kate guessed dubiously. However, this kind of magical creature should only be found in the United Kingdom and Ireland. I have seen it at my relative's house, but the color is darker, pure black. Kate said as she took out her wand and moved an innocent flying insect towards this little thing. Well, yes, it's a little devil. It should have been brought over by the British when they conquered India. Kate confirmed when she saw this little thing decisively picking up flying insects and feasting on them. That's right, the little devil's food is insects. Ryan showed an imperceptible smile. Ravenclaw was easy to deal with and moved the world to the professional field. The harmless little temper he had before was indeed unimportant. Ryan moved the little devil to the shore with a casual finger and began to ask further questions. So, what's the little devil's favorite food? Tip 1, it is an X-level dangerous magical creature. Tip 2, Ryan was about to continue, but was interrupted by Kate. Do you still need a reminder? The most common ones with level. Flobber caterpillars are the little devil's favorite food. Kate returned confidently, forgetting all her previous unhappiness. What are the characteristics of Hoklap? What creature's favorite food is it? What is its most famous illusion? Ryan suddenly asked a long series of questions. Look, I can't cure you. Ryan thought to himself, completely forget that this was to stop Kate from being angry. It has strong and powerful tentacles, which extend underground as rhizomes to find earthworms it likes as food. Its characteristic is its strong reproductive ability, and it can cover an average-sized garden tightly in a few days. It's the goblin's favorite food. Famous illusion. By the way, Newt Scamander once made a mistake with this creature. It's Hufflepuff as expected. He said in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them that Hoklap has no other use except for making food for goblins, but in fact Hoklap juice can be used to make healing potions. Herbicides and potions are all taught in potions class. Kate shook her finger and replied confidently. Kate, what you said in the illusion is not wrong. But it's not the most famous illusion in the British wizarding world. Ryan smiled teasingly and rubbed Kate's head mockingly. How is that possible? Kate's eyes were filled with question marks. Kate, is this related to your idol Dumbledore? Kate, do you know what Hoklap looks like? Ryan asked evilly. Like a fleshy pink mushroom covered in black bristles. What? Is it weird? Kate was puzzled. It seemed that she was still too young. Albus Dumbledore's Aunt Honoria once decided to break off her engagement because she found her fiancé playing with a few Hokraps. And Dumbledore once publicly talked about this topic in an interview. His original words were, Hoklap is a pink, spiky, mushroom-like animal. It's hard to understand why anyone would want to tease them. It's hard for me to understand why Dumbledore would say that. Didn't he have a passionate fight with Grindelwald? Ryan prompted. Ryan. You bastard. Kate's little face suddenly turned as red as a tomato. As if she understood something, she ran back to the cabin. I win again. But, did I do it in the first place to make Kate forget that I made her unhappy? Damn! It's over again. Ryan hammered his calf in frustration. When I maintained my mortal mind, I was still too straight. No wonder I had been single in my previous life. If I hadn't become more knowledgeable and handsome after time travel, I would have ended up single for the rest of my life. Ryan didn't go in to look for Kate again. At this time, Gonghuo was probably going to die. Ryan was lying on the lounge chair, and the fiery phoenix flashed past, and a beautiful creature appeared in Smith's castle. Master, what are your orders? The Lord God's cold mechanical voice suddenly sounded. Master Ryan, do you have any instructions for Jack? Crack. Jack the house elf appeared on the spot. Master Ryan, just tell Jack, that weird thing can't do anything. Jack raised his ugly little face, and his words showed his dissatisfaction with the Lord God. It was probably during this time that I realized that a lot of my work had been saved. Alas, this is also for Jack's good, he is quite old. This chapter is not over yet, please click the next page to continue reading. Okay, Jack, did the letter arrive? Phoenix-looking Ryan comforted helplessly. Ryan has cancelled the coordinates on Kate. After all, she has already fled to India. If Penelope writes, her owl will probably be exhausted. Master Ryan, the letter. Jack handed over the letter respectfully. What came into view was a maple leaf red letter, which opened automatically under Ryan's magic. Attached was a photo and a letter full of beautiful handwriting. The letter briefly mentioned the popularity of French alchemy, and a friend she met recently, Ferrong, said that she knew a lot about alchemy, and asked Ryan about his holiday arrangements by the way. The photo was a group photo under the Eiffel Tower. The bald uncle and the steady, dignified and slightly fat blonde behind Penelope are probably her parents. Fleur. Is it Fleur Delacour? It's a bit strange. Isn't Penelope a muggle? Is this why Fleur sat in Ravenclaw during the Triwizard Tournament, even though Penelope had already graduated at that time? That Ryan suppressed his doubts and wrote back that he stayed at home during the holidays and didn't go anywhere. He also pointed out bluntly that if it weren't for Nicolael, French alchemy couldn't be compared with that in Britain, and its popularity was also due to the policy of the French Ministry of Magic. Otherwise, Beauxbatons wouldn't have so much extra funds for magic learning in France. In addition, Nicolael had mastered the Philosopher's Stone, which could transform other substances into gold, and he had been providing funds for his alma mater, although the British Ministry of Magic did not dare to deduct the salaries of Hogwarts professors. It had been looking for seemingly legitimate reasons to reduce the flying classes and other funds. In this case, the more expensive alchemy was only available to 6th graders at Hogwarts and was not included in the OWL exams. Chapter 63 Poseidon. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Ryan used his fiery magic to outline the reply, he gave it to Jack to arrange for mailing. As for the Lord God, Ryan's thoughts have always been connected to it, and there is no need for other communication. At the same time, on the other side of the earth in India, on the reclining chair on the stone platform in the middle of the lake on the zombie trail, Ryan opened his eyes, and the phoenix incarnation disappeared on the spot. The little devil on the side had already run back to the forest. Under Ryan's perception, it still held the flying insects in its mouth, and took a bite from time to time, like chewing sugar cane. Kate had returned to the stone platform, and was sitting on the reclining chair with her back to Ryan, flipping through an unknown book. In this awkward silence, Ryan pretended to look at the scenery and finally got to lunch time. Lunch was still curry, and the staple food was replaced by Indian long rice. But fortunately there were many types of curry. The drink was replaced by fruit tea, which was not very good to sell. It was colorful, and the strips of fruit pieces looked like cigarette butts soaked in water for a long time, but the taste was unexpectedly good. Look, Kate. Ryan used magic to pick out the fruits in the fruit tea one by one, and froze the water into a bird-shaped ice sculpture, and the fruits were combined into beautiful feathers according to color, and the augury was born. Huh? What is this? Kate asked as she was walking down the hill on the donkey because it was already a morning. Irish Phoenix. Augury. Ryan said. Aha, you're wrong. A augury is more like a malnourished vulture, with dark green feathers and a sharp beak. Seeing Ryan make a mistake, Kate smiled sincerely. What can the feathers of the augury be used for? A potion material, bequill pen. Kate turned around at this time, holding a curry chicken drumstick in her little hand and pointing at Ryan and asked. It must be feathers. Ryan pretended not to know and answered decisively. Oh. Wrong. The feathers of the augury repel ink, so they cannot be used to make quill pens. Kate stood on the recliner excitedly. Classmate Ryan, let teacher Kate teach you. The augury is a particularly shy bird that usually lives in a teardrop-shaped nest built of thorns. It is a magical creature registered as dangerous by XX. Its food includes insects, fairies and flies. It only flies when it rains heavily. By the way, the augury is native to the UK and Ireland, and can also be seen in some places in Northern Europe. Kate shook her finger, indicating that this was the key point. For a long time, wizards have always believed that the shrill cry of the augury bird indicates death, so they will try their best to avoid the augury bird's nest. However, research shows that the augury bird will only call when heavy rain comes. Because of this characteristic, some wizards will keep it as a weather forecaster at home. But once winter comes, they will be cast with a soundproof spell, because at this time the augury bird will start to cry non-stop. Ryan, do you know? The historical figure you hate the most, the weird Yurik, once thought he was dead and turned into a ghost because of the groaning of the augury bird in winter. Kate said with a smile. Then a funny thing happened. Yurik suddenly hit the wall because he thought he was a ghost. Finally, he was discovered by the wizard next door and sent to the wizard hospital at that time. It is said that he had a concussion for 10 days. But it's what he deserves. Who told him to keep 50 augury birds in one breath and not understand their habits in advance? Finally, teacher Kate sat on the recliner again and concluded in a serious manner. Ryan, what did you learn from this class? You need to do your homework before raising a pet. Ryan answered cooperatively. Yes, you are a teachable kid. However, not only pets, you need to do your homework before doing anything, got it? Kate widened her eyes, looked at Ryan fiercely, and emphasized. Yeah, Kate, Ryan got it. Finally, with Ryan's face down, everything returned to calm. After dinner, Ryan even deliberately pulled Kate to check his testimony, such as he was at home during the holidays, and Kate was also, so as not to let Penelope slip. Then after playing around, the sky slowly turned dim. Huh. It's almost night, why is there no movement in the sky? Kate stood on the table on the stone platform, with her belongings placed beside her, looking around. Then the stone platform began to shake, and the table that had already automatically collected the food began to slowly descend. Kate flexibly jumped to the side, and Ryan on the side confidently put his belongings into his pocket. The stone table was still slowly sinking. After about a minute, a downward staircase appeared at the original stone table. At a glance, it was bottomless. Kate, let's go, this is our new prop to the Bermuda Triangle, the palace under the sea, Poseidon. Poseidon. Kate followed Ryan and went down together. Similar to a Muggle submarine. Perhaps to increase the sense of ceremony, Poseidon did not cast a magic similar to the slide spell. 1 step, 2 steps, 1 step, 2 steps, Ryan and Kate slowly walked down the stairs in the dark. Without a trace of warning, the darkness disappeared, and what came into view was the beautiful lake bottom. The walls and floor of Poseidon were transparent. At the bottom of the lake, water plants swayed gently under the ripples of the water, and fish swam among them. The most eye-catching one was the silver-shining Lamora fish. The ripples of the water and the vaguely rippling sun all attracted Ryan and Kate's attention. At this time, it was like arriving at a large aquarium, and then the stairs behind disappeared, and a door appeared from the air and slowly opened. This chapter is not over yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content later. A short dwarf wizard came out from inside, probably with fairy blood. Mr. Ryan, Ms. Kate, welcome to Poseidon. The dwarf wizard introduced the layout of Poseidon. In the place where Ryan and Kate stayed, as long as they read Thetis, the name of the goddess of the sea in Greek mythology, the walls and the ground will return to normal, and the living room, bathroom, and bedroom will also appear. Each room has a window to see the scenery outside. Similarly, as long as they read Thetis again, the walls and the ground will become transparent again. However, he suggested not to do this, especially in the bedroom, and also mentioned the deep-sea phobia proposed by Muggle scholars. As expected, the entire layout has returned to normal. What appeared in front of them was a living room dominated by blue and with waves as the design element. The sofa was in the shape of coral, which was particularly soft to sit on. Ryan and Kate also received two beautiful cards with the words of Thetis engraved on them, probably because they were afraid that Ryan and the others would forget the password, but this is a bit like coming to a bath center. After the introduction, the dwarf wizard walked into the door that appeared in the air and disappeared. The horror journey is good at this point, giving the traveling wizards the maximum private space. This is not a lie. From the perspective of the vampire castle, the zombie trail and the Poseidon, Ryan did not have any means of surveillance. The staff would only appear when it was time to set off, but this may be related to the fact that every wizard with a wand is equivalent to an army with combat effectiveness. No one knows what kind of magic is hidden under the funny appearance. Chapter 64, Miscalculated, Exchange Rate. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Quiet, extremely quiet, but fortunately the breathing sounds that could be heard slowly later proved that the ears were still functioning normally. It was not yet dinner time, and I sat on the soft coral sofa, looking through the windows on both sides at the changed environment around me. At this moment, the outside was approaching the deep darkness, and I must have dived very deep, with only a little sunlight reaching it with difficulty. Many strange fish that I couldn't name swam around the Poseidon, as if they didn't notice it. This was good, so I didn't have to worry about being caught by deep-sea squids and ruining the journey. Ryan, do you remember what it looked like when the surroundings were transparent just now? Kate asked, leaning on Ryan's left arm with her head tilted. Nothing. Ryan had guessed what Kate wanted to do. Right, then, if I say a spell, will this sofa disappear? Kate stood up in advance at this time. Thetis, that the surroundings suddenly became dark, and nothing could be seen, and then the top began to emit soft light sporadically, and the sofa was still there unexpectedly. Looking down at the ground, there were all kinds of strange creatures. Ryan could barely recognize the ugly anglerfish and the viperfish with protrusions like spikes. At this time, Ryan seemed to have come to a foreign land, while Kate looked around with half excitement and half fear. The Poseidon swam very fast and ran straight. When it was about to hit some monsters, the monsters would involuntarily dodge, and she didn't notice it at all. Ryan even saw a huge sperm whale. In Ryan's vision, this behemoth was covered with scars and full of traces of fighting with the giant squid. The lights on the top of the Poseidon, combined with the darkness around, made everything at this time seem like a dark universe. Kate couldn't stand any more and sat on the sofa involuntarily. Thetis. Kate couldn't help shouting the command again. Seeing that the surroundings returned to normal, Kate returned to normal. Ryan, what were those magical creatures just now? Why is the seabed so dark? Kate shrank her neck and leaned over. Kate, this is the deep sea, where the sun can't reach. And you have to understand, since it's the deep sea, most of these creatures are not usually seen on the sea surface, and I don't know many of them. Ryan replied while playing with Kate's little hand. After a brief tenderness, the relationship between the two couldn't help but deepen. Is this the suspension bridge effect? It's time for dinner, and the stone table that was just flat began to be filled with food. Maybe because it's on the seabed. Although the food is still curry, the main ingredients are replaced with arm-thick lobsters and octopus tentacles, and the staple food is rarely replaced with normal rice. Wow, there are so many things for a 100 gold galleon trip. You know, the venom of the eight-eyed giant spider is 100 galleons/pint, although all the ingredients are local, and may even be free of cost. All three journeys are grand scenes. The currency in circulation in the British wizarding world is gold galleons, silver sickles, and copper nuts. Among them, 1 galleon equals 17 sickles, 1 sickle equals 29 nuts. So 1 galleon equals 493 nuts. Recently, Ryan learned that £5 can be exchanged for 1 galleon, if the exchange rate before Ryan traveled through time is used. The horror journey is £500, which is 4,251.85 yuan. Of course, the price is not calculated in this way. After all, it is only 1988 now. Ryan uses the exchange rate of 2021. The reason for thinking so is that Ryan is not an economics major and traveled through time before going to college. If calculated by purchasing power, it will be different. A lot of snacks Harry bought on the Hogwarts train, 11 sickles and 7 nuts, night bus ticket, 11 sickles, 0.3 cups of butter beer, 6 sickles, advanced potion making textbook, 9 galleons, more expensive than the wand. If calculated by the prices of the above items, 1 galleon is about 255 yuan, 1 sickle is about 15 yuan, 0.1 canute is about 5 cents. Then the snacks Harry bought were worth about 168, a glass of butter beer was 30, and the advanced potion making textbook was 2,295, my god, it was really expensive, and Harry's 7 galleons wand was even about 1785. Then the cost of this trip was more than 10,000 per person, which was still too cheap, but from this point of view, the Weasley family was really poor. In the original book. Arthur Weasley, for his hobby, spent a total of 50 gold galleons, bought a scrapped car and modified it. Percy even gambled with Penelope, and spent 10 galleons, which was more than 2,000, but in the end he shamelessly didn't pay, worthy of being the most un-Weasley Weasley. The Weasley twins were different, very Weasley, and took the startup fund to gamble with Ludo Bagman. However, the Weasley brothers are too good at making money. When Harry was in the 3rd year, which was also their 5th year, they had saved 37 galleons, 15 sickles, and 3 nuts, 9,661.5. No wonder they were so anxious after being denied by Ludo Bagman. Overall, the Weasley family tradition should be to spend money as soon as they have it. When they won 700 gold galleons, in the Daily Prophet, they almost used all of it to travel to Egypt. Ryan suddenly remembered that Dobby's salary at Hogwarts was 1 galleon/week, which was a little more than 1,000 yuan a month, but you have to know that Dumbledore was prepared to pay 10 galleons/week, which means a monthly income of over 10,000 yuan. Hogwarts is really rich, not to mention the income of those professors. The prize money for Harry's 4th-year Triwizard Tournament is 1,000 galleons, which is about 200,000. Sirius Black's bounty of 10,000 galleons is 2 million. When Ryan thought of this, he almost forgot that he was rich. He wanted to quickly and unnoticeably let Black escape from prison, and then catch him for the bounty. I already have money now. Ryan strongly hinted to himself that Sirius was innocent, and at most he was a little annoying when he was young. What's going on? The more I look at Black, the more I hate him. It must be that I am too upright and can't hide the stain in my eyes. However, this is all based on purchasing power. In reality, it shouldn't be the case. If I hadn't traveled through time, my salary in the first year after graduating from college would not be as good as Dobby's without a discount. It must be a miscalculation. Black, let it go. I am such an upright wizard. Kate looked at Ryan, who suddenly boasted, with a look of a fool. Here, this is a coupon for St. Mungo's, 50% off. Kate took out a green coupon with a serious look, and it was real. Who wants it? Here, go eat your meal. Ryan threw the coupon back, picked up a lobster claw covered with curry sauce, and stuffed it into Kate's mouth. Then he mischievously recited the spell again, Thetis, admiring Kate who was eating despite the discomfort. Chapter 65 Mermaid. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Deep sea phobia, huh? I didn't expect that even the great vampire hunter Sir Kate would be afraid. Ryan had a sly smile on his face. At this time, the surroundings became dark again, with only the lights above the head. No, perhaps for the sake of dining, the cold blue light also lit up on the dining table. Kate looked like she was concentrating on the food, pretending that the surroundings had not changed. Kate knew that if she insisted on pulling with Ryan and constantly chanting spells, Ryan would probably be more proud and restless. Eat your fill first, wait for the rest. Sure enough, Ryan stopped adding fuel to the fire after a while. Thetis. With the sound of Ryan's spell, the surroundings returned to normal, and with the victory of Kate's plan, she remained unchanged in the face of changes. What? Don't want to play anymore? Kate pretended to be mature and wiped her mouth with a tissue, questioning. At this time, the dining table sensed that the wizards around were no longer hungry, and became flat again, leaving only a pot of hot black tea. Kate, look, this dining table should have used the technology of the peephole. Ryan changed the subject. The peephole, that is a black magic detector. It looks like a glass gyroscope. If there are suspicious people around, it will light up and spin. Ryan couldn't help but laugh dryly. This is bad. Kate is not even moved by the new knowledge now, and is still like an angry lioness. Kate, say something, why are you suddenly silent? This dining table, no, all the dining tables we come here, have a similar function to the peephole. It does not rely on house elves, but senses the desire of people around to eat. Ryan noticed that although Kate was angry, she was still listening, and said relaxedly. Continue. Kate suddenly said. Well, Kate, alchemical tools like this can be cracked by a magic, guess? Ryan pretended to be mysterious. Silence, extremely silent. Ryan wanted to throw out questions to ease the atmosphere, but Kate sat upright and had no intention of answering. What did you say before? Still silent. Then the answer is finally revealed, brain occlusion. Ryan showed 8 teeth and smiled like Lockhart. Then, what the hell are you laughing at? Stinky Ryan. Kate suddenly jumped up, pinched Ryan's face and pulled him. However, Ryan knew that this crisis was over. After the fight, Ryan started a new way of playing. With the skill of telepathic communication and superb thinking ability, Ryan created an RPG game in his mind. Ryan was a priest, mainly for treatment and for reducing the status of vampires, while Kate was a vampire hunter with both meat and agility. In the gloomy thunderstorm, the ghost hunter Sir Kate took the lead, holding a double blade. The left blade was frozen, the right blade was flaming, and he was wearing a shadow cloak, which could hide in the shadow for a short time. Priest Ryan, holding a golden staff, radiated light. Raindrops did not approach, dust did not stain, and all kinds of evil. Demons did not want to get close. Stepping into the suburban cemetery, Ryan shone brightly. Vampires attacked, Kate lurked in the shadow, and then, after killing many monsters, the equipment continued to be won, inlaid with various gems. Finally, we came to the kingdom of the dead, and then finished the game. It is hard to imagine that such a pure fighting and killing game mixed with various money-making game routines could make Kate so addicted. Fortunately, under Ryan's intentional control, the flow of time in his mind was consistent with that outside. In addition, playing virtual games is not the same as dreaming, and it also consumes energy. At night, when it was time to rest, Ryan finally got rid of Kate, who wanted to play another game. When Kate, who was depressed again, finished washing, Ryan could finally take a good bath alone again. Thetis. Ryan, lying in the bathtub, chanted a spell. It was really amazing. The body still felt in warm water, but underneath, the surroundings turned into a deep sea environment, and the soft and not strong light gave people a feeling of entering a dream. Even the strange-shaped fish that flashed by occasionally became cute. Under the light of the dark seabed, the plankton in the sea water flashed with stars. Some of the fish here are blood red and look like bats, some are crystal clear and narrow like kelp, others have eyes like copper bells and bloody mouths. The Poseidon rushed down, and creatures that ordinary people and ordinary wizards could not see flashed in Ryan's eyes one by one. Nature is really magical, and there will always be creatures that you can't imagine. There are even magical creatures in the deep sea. All magical creatures are directly or indirectly caused by wizards, and some are even caused by wizards' failure to transform and being transformed. The most famous is the mermaid, and the origin that is closest to reality is obtained by Ryan after thinking. It should be a wizard named Poseidon. In order to conquer the sea, he cursed all the people in the territory. The upper body of the high-ranking people and the lower body of the fish, more civilians, not human form, yellow eyes, iron-gray skin, and long dark green hair, unkempt. These ugly mermaids were used as slaves. After Poseidon died, they fled to the cold waters where the beautiful mermaids were unwilling to stay. This is why mermen living in warm waters have more beautiful appearances, while mermen living in cold waters, such as the Selkie of Scotland and the Merrow of Ireland, are not so beautiful. After Poseidon's death, the mermen returned to chaos. After a long period of eating raw meat and drinking blood, the mermen picked up civilization and once again had highly organized communities. Some advanced communities also use stones to carefully build houses. In addition, mermaids also began to raise livestock, domesticating creatures such as Grindylow, sea monsters with horse heads and fish tails, and lobo worms, and even used lobo worms as weapons. This chapter is not over yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content below. Mermaids can also make jewelry and weapons, create works of art such as sculptures, and complete basic communication through gestures. However, modern wizards have discovered that mermaids have their own mermaid language and can even compose music. In the 19th century, a witch named Mirabella Plunkett fell in love with a mermaid living in Loch Lomond. After her family rejected the marriage, she turned herself into a haddock and disappeared. From then on. The story is off track. In short, the magic of wizards now even affects the deep sea. After appreciating the beautiful scenery that Kate was turned away from and could not avoid, Ryan recited the spell again. A bathroom with green metal walls and patterns on the floor appeared in front of Ryan again. Ryan floated up from the bathtub without getting wet. After simply changing into pajamas, Ryan pushed open the door of the bedroom. There were windows on both sides of the bedroom that could see the deep sea. The whole bedroom was in warm tones, and the style was designed with waves as the element, with blue, white, red, and their mixed colors dotted together. The bed was a bit like a Muggle water bed, and Kate changed into a furry pajamas again. The clothes were very large, like a large quilt, and the whole little person was wrapped in it. Kate had already fallen asleep, and Ryan saw this, so he could only put off the idea of reading a book he had just discovered recently, with a very long name, called You Don't Know What You Have, and How to Use Them Once You Know. Ryan closed his eyes, and the lights in the room also noticed this and slowly went out. Chapter 66 Spellcasting Overview. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I was not used to it. Maybe it was because we were in the sea. There was no music at breakfast. According to the nature of horror trips, there should be beautiful music of different styles at breakfast. These music are not circulated in the magic radios on the market. At least Ryan has never heard them. At this time, we should have arrived at the shallow water area. As for why, it was not because Ryan used a higher level of vision, but because he saw that the environment of the living room had changed to look like a large aquarium. If it were a Slytherin student, he would probably feel very familiar and a little strange. It was familiar because the Slytherin lounge was next to the Black Lake and also looked like a large aquarium. It was strange because even the floor here was transparent. Although it was obvious that the surrounding environment was still relatively deep at this time, and the sunlight did not completely penetrate like the surrounding seawater, it was obviously much better. This made Kate very happy. From time to time, she pointed the wand and manipulated a paper man to jump up and down. Judging from the appearance of the paper man, it should be the parchment used for homework, and it was cut into the appearance of the vampire hunter in the thinking game yesterday by magic. Around this paper man, there are also very careless monsters that look like paper balls, flying towards the paper man from time to time, pretending to attack. Kate, if Professor McGonagall sees this, she will definitely say, 10 points for Ravenclaw. Ryan walked to Kate leisurely, picked up a sandwich, and said while eating, "My transfiguration is not good." "But, Ryan, you want to use magic to control the transformed things. This is not magic." Kate put away her wand and threw the paper man aside casually. "What do you mean that the transformed can't be controlled by spells?" "Kate, you are not good at transformation, but you are not good at theory either. But you are only in the first grade." Ryan sighed, covering his forehead. "Do you know the spell Avis, flocks of birds?" "Yes, Ryan, you mentioned it when you introduced the classification of spells." "Well, it's a transformation spell." Kate replied. "You also know that this is a transformation spell. Then what about a puño, a volley of bullets?" "A volley of bullets?" Kate looked puzzled. "Remember? Charm refers to a spell that causes abnormal physical changes to objects. The objects here are not limited to those that have not been changed by the spell. Million Bullets is a useful spell that matches the flock of birds. Use the flock of birds several times first, maintain them, and let this group of golden birds continue to fly around you. It is best to make it look like a solar system model, a circle, so that the magic power can be output more evenly and effortlessly. Finally, use the Million Bullets. These birds that are plasticized by the Transfiguration spell are difficult to be changed by other Transfiguration spells. This is far more useful than using some sharp tools directly. If I throw a knife at you, as long as you are familiar with Transfiguration, you can turn the knife into something harmless, such as a paper airplane, with a wave of the wand, without even aiming. Ryan concluded, drinking a sip of milk. Oh, so it can be done this way. But isn't this too demanding? You have to use Transfiguration to shape it, and you have to use spells to be careful not to destroy its shape to attack it. Kate touched her chin in thought. Yes, sometimes, using more and more powerful spells does not mean you are the strongest. Some simple Transfiguration spells, combined with spells, can be comparable to poison spells, evil spells, and even curses. Just like the slide spell I taught you when dealing with zombies, sometimes transforming a wizard or attacking him consumes magic power that makes it difficult for the wizard to spend in one breath, and it also consumes more energy. At this time, it is a better choice to change the surrounding environment and let them help you fight. Make fog, hide your body, and the clouds are misty. Make thunderclouds and harass the opponent. This is a weather spell. Kate, when you deal with zombies, the poison spell you chose at the beginning, the shoes stick to the ground, is a good choice if you are dealing with a wizard, the same is true. First, it does not directly affect the wizard himself, but the shoes and the ground. Of course, if you deal with a wizard without shoes, you need to spend more magic power. If you deal with a wizard with much stronger willpower than you, that is, a wizard with deeper magic skills than you, not necessarily in magic theory, you may not even be able to interfere with him. Second, it is the combination of multiple spells. Even the most lame wizards will not stand still and output after a little training. They will move. And your sticky feet spell will suddenly make the opponent lose balance, and then add a powerful output spell, such as fainting. Ryan finally said to Kate earnestly. Kate, who was on the side, had already taken out a notebook and started to remember, as expected of Ravenclaw. A good memory is not as good as a bad pen. The Poseidon was sailing slower and slower, and it must have been close to the destination, but the dwarf wizard said that it would arrive at night. It was estimated that it was so slow that Ryan and Kate were prepared to slowly appreciate this mysterious sea area. Sure enough, a huge rectangular object appeared not far away. It was probably underwater in Bimini Island, which was discovered by Muggle scholars in 1967. Kate also discovered it, happily lying on the sofa and watching curiously. The most eye-catching thing was a stone wall that was estimated to be about 2 kilometers long, followed by a stone street, and various patterns were arranged with rectangular or polygonal stones. There are even flat-topped pyramids, which make people feel as if they have come to Egypt. This is one of the cities that Poseidon sank to the bottom of the sea. It is very prosperous. Docks and port equipment are everywhere in the city, and there are marble statues full of religious meaning standing in the center. Along the way, there are abandoned pyramids and lost cities all around. It seems that pyramids should be very popular among the wizard community at that time. Kate finally took out the camera. I have never seen Kate use it before. She kept taking pictures along the way. The camera is one of the Muggle inventions that has long entered the wizarding world. It's just that wizards can take pictures of activities without applying additional developing potions. Some poor wizards like to use cameras made by Muggles or picked up from garbage dumps and repaired to their original state, and use them with developing potions. However, not all pyramids have been abandoned. Along the way, Ryan and Kate also found pyramids that only wizards can see. The whole body is made of glass or glass-like materials, which looks very smooth. As expected, there was another manual on the table, which introduced that this was the residence of the local wizard community. It was so romantic that they hid under the sea. With so many wizards living here, it was no wonder that the world-famous navigator Columbus, the first person in Muggle history to experience the Bermuda Triangle, failed to work when approaching Bermuda. This is the same principle as the fact that electrical appliances cannot be used in Hogwarts, the wizarding world. No, this magical world is much larger than what is described in the 7 books of Harry Potter. It's really interesting. Chapter 67 Weird Yurik. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. The sun penetrated deeper and deeper into the sea water, and the fish around it gradually became more common. For an afternoon, Kate did not recite the spell again. The Poseidon remained transparent, and the plankton was like the dust in the air when the sun shines directly on the land. On this beautiful afternoon, Kate did not ask to play mind games with Ryan again. Instead, she used the camera to take pictures continuously, taking pictures of herself, taking pictures of the scenery, and most of all taking pictures of Ryan. To be honest, this long-lost place made Ryan feel for a moment that he had not traveled through time, and was still an ordinary boy who was vying to be pulled by female classmates to take pictures. The book selected spells of the 18th century was casually thrown aside by Kate. While Kate was looking for camera positions and angles to take pictures, the destination was coming. It was already 6 o'clock in the evening, but the sky, no, the seabed was still filled with warm sunshine. Not far away, there was a huge flat-topped pyramid, which was made of translucent glass-like materials. The Poseidon began to slow down, stayed above the pyramid, and slowly landed on the top of the pyramid. Then there was the sound of the inflatable cushion being deflated. The Poseidon returned to its original state without the spell of Thetis. A corridor appeared in the center of the living room. This corridor was extremely smooth and looked like a translucent glass-like material. Looking down, you could not see the bottom. Kate hurriedly put all her belongings into Ryan's pockets and jumped down. Even though Ryan was still in the Poseidon, he could hear Kate's crisp laughter. Ryan followed closely and entered the corridor only to find that he could see the entire city from the side of the corridor. The interior of the city was divided into 2 worlds by invisible bubbles, one half of which was a normal seabed and the other half seemed to be on land. The 2 were intertwined, as if they had come to a fairy tale kingdom. On land, there were wizards dressed in kelp, jellyfish, and coral. Some of them laid out carpets, and some rode various flying vehicles, greeting the wizards and mermaids on the opposite side of the seabed. At the bottom of the sea, there are wizards and mermaids wearing fish tank-like headgear. Some wizards even swam in the seabed with only the bubble head spell, while wizards with gills grown from their heads cast the transformation spell and were circling around worriedly. The speed of the descent was surprisingly slow. The inner wall of the tunnel was very smooth, but it seemed that there was an invisible fluid slowing it down. It was probably to allow tourists to appreciate the city, but for Ryan, this was very annoying. With his physique, he could still enjoy it even at a faster speed. Torture. After Ryan walked at a turtle speed for about 2 minutes, there was a sound of falling into the water and Kate's excited laughter in front. What came into view was a crystal clear fluid. After falling into it, it was as if you fell into the water, but your body remained dry. It feels like water, looks like water, and tastes like water. No, 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 Ryan hurriedly stopped his wild thoughts. Ryan, the people here dress so weirdly. How should I put it? Very seafood. Kate whispered, pointing at a wizard who used a lobster shell as a hat. Kate, a tip, Ravenclaw's famous weirdo Yurik. Ryan replied with his mind, and he was polite and looked around curiously. Everyone who saw him would praise him, saying that he was a handsome young man, a good man in the world. Huh. He really has the style of the weirdo Yurik. Kate sighed as she looked at a wizard not far away who was wearing a jellyfish as a hat. I guess Yurik is also a normal wizard here. While waiting for the receptionist, Ryan complained fiercely in Kate's mind with his mind. No, 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 Ryan, you probably haven't read much history of magic. I suggest you read the biography of Ulrich the Weird written by Rodolfo Pitamon. My Ravenclaw senior is far from being peculiar in his dress. The story about his divination bird I mentioned last time was just a small matter. As we all know, the high-pitched, chirping call of the shrew will make people who hear it lose their minds, but in order to prove his point, the call of the shrew is actually good for people's health. The weird Ulrich listened to the call of the shrew for 3 months in a row, and even wore a dead badger as a wig. intending to prove his point to the Magic Council. Kate replied to Ryan skillfully in her mind. So, Ulrich's magic power is probably higher than expected. Kate, what level of danger does the shrew belong to? Ryan asked. XXX, the level that capable wizards can deal with. So. Kate raised her head suddenly and couldn't help talking out loud. Yes, the hellbird is a dangerous pet that needs to be silencing spells every month before it can be sold. A wizard who wants to keep it must demonstrate his level of silencing spells to obtain a license. The hellbird is classified as XXX only because its sound is dangerous, which is easy to avoid. And Yurik actually listened to the sound of the hellbird for 3 consecutive months. You know, it was impossible to fake it when applying for experiments to the Magic Council at that time. He actually overcame his body with his spirit. Crazy wizards, especially half-crazy wizards like Yurik, are really scary. Even if he is really healthy after 3 months in the hell version, it will be even more incredible. If he keeps this habit, then it is estimated. Ryan thinks, and then suddenly stops. Estimate what? Kate asked puzzledly, staring at her cat eyes, which was particularly cute with her small round face. Nothing, I was wrong, he will probably go crazy. Ryan explained, and then said the second half of the sentence to himself in his heart, I guess he will really be healthy forever. Is that why the death date of the weirdo Yurik is so vague? After waiting for about 10 minutes, an ordinary wizard ran over, with big beads of sweat falling from his glasses like rain. The wizard was also dressed unexpectedly ordinary, which was out of tune with the seafood style around him. Mr. Ryan, Miss Kate, I've been waiting for you, please follow me. The ordinary wizard apologized, briefly introduced the place to stay at night, and guided Ryan and Kate to a reception room about 100 meters away from the previous pool. After completing the registration, the ordinary wizard distributed something similar to a pocket watch, and the pointer on it would always point to the reception room. Next, they were free to move around. There was a fish tank in the reception room, and aircrafts were rented. Dinner and bedrooms were on the 2nd floor. Kate, do you want to eat in the reception room first? Or should we go out and solve it ourselves? Ryan asked. Let's eat first, in the reception room, and see what's different first. Kate replied. Chapter 68 Mysterious Contract. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What should you do first when you come to a strange city? Investigate the terrain and stay alert. No, Ryan is not going to visit this so-called underwater city at this time. From the moment he entered the Poseidon, Ryan found that he seemed to be bound. That was the contract that had been lurking since he signed the menu and checked the service items at the beginning. The only function of this contract is to make the wizards who come and go accustomed to it, and they can't tell everything about the underwater city after leaving. The reason why Ryan was tricked was that he was very proud at that time. He had just mastered the power of the LV6 death curse and felt that the world was so big that he couldn't set foot anywhere. In addition, there was no harm in this contract, and the requirements were very low. With cheap charges and protecting the safety of customers as the other side of the scale, the contract was established. If the contract was malicious or unfair, it would not be established, and it could not hide Ryan's intuition. After arriving at the underwater city, Ryan was even more surprised to find that even the Phoenix and the house elves could not apparate to the land in this city. It's not that you can't apparate here. After all, even if the house elves may be bound by some anti-apparate array against them, the Phoenix cannot be bound. The reason why Ryan discovered this is that this place is too far from the land. The Phoenix can only teleport in the city. Their powerful magic vision is also limited by distance, unless the Phoenix directly apparate to the bottom of the sea, then be killed by water pressure, and finally be washed to the surface of the sea to revive. This mechanism is probably to prevent creatures similar to the Phoenix from outside from entering, and there are not many restrictions on leaving here. It is estimated that all the lives here have signed a contract with or without knowing it. However, this so-called contract itself is ineffective for Ryan, who has the magic power of the Phoenix. He just didn't pay attention to it before, or the contract has not been born. At the moment of birth, this contract was unilaterally resolved by Ryan. However, even if the wizards who left here were soul-stealing, the people behind the horror journey were not afraid of this, and even wanted to be like this, because Ryan discovered that the carrier of the contract is the memory of this underwater city. Only when you arrive here or recognize the destination in advance, the contract will take effect. Then, after being soul reading, when the caster sees the relevant memory, he himself is also bound by the contract and cannot tell others. It is really a wonderful contract, which can be based on the illusory memory. It can be compared with the Fidelia spell. No, Ryan further sensed the contract that he had broken free from. This contract is not only to keep secrets, but also to be voluntarily observed by almost all underwater wizards. After a long time, they can't even hurt each other. This contract is like a spider web, sticking all the wizards in the underwater city. This contract has no source. It is a common vision of utopia between wizards and wizards. This surprising discovery made Ryan listless, and even the sumptuous seafood feast in the waiting room could not attract him. "Kate, I need to leave temporarily. Be careful not to touch my body and interrupt the spell." Ryan's voice suddenly rang in Kate's mind while she was feasting. Ryan pretended to lie on the sofa beside him, and the Phoenix incarnation flashed by with a perspective that ordinary wizards could not see, and Smith Castle welcomed its owner again. Jack, who had been communicated with by Ryan in advance through the Lord God, came to Diagon Alley with Ryan almost the next moment Ryan left the underwater city. Jack had put on the magic hat and turned into George Smith, while Ryan possessed the back of Jack's head in the form of magic. Jack, who had communicated in advance, walked straight to number 59 Diagon Alley, a horror journey. This travel agency, which was designed by the same designer as Ollivander's wand shop and looked ordinary, did not close even at 7 o'clock in the evening. Pushing open the door, the previous receptionist was still on the right side of the room. At this time, he was still sitting on a very high chair, leaning on the marble stone platform, pointing at the wand boredly, and a pair grew 2 feet and tap danced on the table. Seeing Jack, who looked like George Smith, walk in, maybe it was late, the receptionist behaved very differently from before. Without a friendly smile, and even without an introduction, he waved his wand directly, and the list on the table turned into a bird and flew into Jack's hand, and changed back to its original state. The whole person looked like he didn't want to come or go, and it felt like a big store bullying customers. Although Ryan was behind Jack's head, Ryan, who had reconnaissance skills and a 365-degree Phoenix perspective, didn't need Quirrell to turn around like Voldemort. Ryan looked at the menu in front of him in detail. It was not different from the previous one, but the price of the private trip soared to 1,000 gold galleons, which was 10 times the previous one, and no matter how carefully Ryan observed, this menu was just ordinary. The only thing that was a little magical was the colorful little man who would move and guide people to right. There was no trace of the contract at all. The only difference from before is the time, and the adult wizards who came. Ryan, who was thinking, suddenly thought. "Jack, relax." Ryan's voice rang in Jack's mind. Then, from the receptionist's perspective, the gentleman-looking middle-aged man suddenly looked at him, and then, just, a trance. The receptionist scratched the back of his head, thinking that he was just distracted and nothing happened. Then, Jack pretended to be uninterested and left quickly. Ryan, who was at the back of his head, was in a state of panic. How is it possible? Things are far more complicated than I thought. The previous menu is indeed problematic. As long as the wizard is still young, the receptionist will personally hand over the menu, which has a preferential price and an imperceptible contract attached. Their purpose is simple, to absorb new blood, with the development of muggles, except for the wizards in Britain who are still not making progress. Wizards from other places have taken various actions against the development of muggles. Delandover's action is just the most obvious one. More wizards have taken actions on their own to open up secret realms in places that are difficult for muggles to reach. Although the power and complexity of the confusion spell have been improving with the development of the wizarding world, being physically together with muggles still makes some wizards feel full of crisis, especially after experiencing the First World War in the muggle world. Although muggle weapons do not carry magic and can be easily transformed into harmless and controlled by spells, the destructive power of missiles and even nuclear bombs is no longer beyond the level of protection of a single wizard. The underwater city was built by such a group of wizards. After discovering the legacy of Poseidon, the god of the sea, they kept it a secret and opened a travel agency around the world. Horror Tour. for young wizards, let them arrive in the city in person and finally introduce their vision to them. Even if they are rejected, the constraints of the contract prevent them from telling any secrets and sabotaging the actions of the horror tour. Even if this secret is peeped at by someone, it is just one more wizard bound by the contract, and it saves the trouble of pulling people into the secret realm. So, generation after generation, unknown wizard cities were born on the bottom of the Bermuda Triangle. Chapter 69 Utopia. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. In the undersea city of the Bermuda Triangle, accompanied by a red light that was difficult for ordinary wizards to detect, Ryan opened his eyes. But Ryan was still thinking, and the long-lost freshness filled Ryan's heart. This city is so interesting. Even a wizard would not be able to find this place without signing a contract and being guided by the Poseidon. Like Durmstrang, the location is unknown, hard to find by non-Durmstrang wizards, and kept secret, just like in the original book. Trum told Hermione about school life. We also have a castle. I don't think it is as big as here, and it is not as comfortable as here. Ours is only 4 floors, and the fire can only be lit by magic. But our grounds are wider than this, but the days are short in winter, so you can't play on the field. In the summer, we were flying around outside every day, flying over the lake and over the mountains, and then was interrupted by Karkaroff, the principal at the time. Okay, Victor. Don't give away any more secrets, or your charming friend will know where we are. But even so, after Voldemort was resurrected, Karkaroff still left the so-called hidden Durmstrang, fled there alone, and finally died in a wooden house, hiding for only a year. It would be interesting if Karkaroff played Terror Tour when he was young. I wonder if Voldemort can find this place. Kate, you can go out. Ryan suddenly raised his head and said. When did you come back? Kate was so surprised that she almost spoke, thinking in her heart. I'm really curious as to how the group of wizards behind the horrible journey will introduce this city and their vision. Ryan curled his lips. Kate could no longer hold back her curiosity and pulled Ryan to lead the way towards the interesting place she had seen in the corridor. Along the way, the wizards here all looked familiar, and were not surprised at all by the different costumes of Ryan and the two. Although they were aware of their identities as foreigners, they all behaved in a lukewarm, carefree manner. He glanced away curiously. The ground here does not use any floor tiles or cobblestones, but has an original ecological look. It feels similar to the ground on the zombie trail. It looks ordinary, but the mud does not stick to your shoes at all. There is a large virtual sun in the sky. From Ryan's professional perspective, it does not use magic to release light, but collects the natural sunlight that the sun shines on the sea. The most common ones in the surrounding shops are various fish tanks, some decorated with red corals, and some with the dorsal fin of a shark. Put it on your head and you can breathe in the water. There are also various clothing stores. Ordinary wizard clothing is very rare. Most of them are made of underwater creatures as raw materials and magic is applied. Kate is like a curious deer, asking about prices and chatting from time to time. Then, the city's history, layout, mission, etc. were slowly revealed to Ryan and the others during the chat. There are many here, and they are all composed of wizard families that are recognized as extinct. Perhaps it is for the purpose of reproducing future generations. Surprisingly, pure blood does not matter here. As long as you are a wizard, you can enjoy education and do not have to work. You only need to choose a topic to research and occasionally publish papers. The Muggle families of the occasional squibs and half-blood wizards are responsible for the service industry, doing simple jobs that are deliberately reserved for people without magic. When Kate heard about the paper, she hurriedly asked if she could borrow it. Surprisingly, although the papers and journals here are not allowed to be distributed to the outside world, almost everyone has a copy. Just like the Daily Prophet, if you pick up a Muggle casually, you can discuss it and talk about a few simple magical knowledge. Even under Ryan's investigation, most of the wizards here are at level 4 or above in charms. Unlike Hogwarts graduates who are supported by several high-level spells and charms, they are very average, with some common spells. The spells almost always match your charms level. Ryan, come and take a look. Kate pulled Ryan to sit on a chair by the roadside and opened a journal given by a passerby. It's a neat page. Unlike the Daily Prophet, there is only one page about gossip, aircraft, and sea beast driving competitions. The rest is about magic, improvement of the confusion spell, how to grow food on the seabed, the captivity of sea beasts, and the development of protection spells. That it was really jaw-dropping to watch. It's really me who is the clown. Other wizards have already achieved my ideal wizarding society. Sure enough, there is always more than one smart person, and wizards also see the development of muggles. How could a wizard with a similar character from Ravenclaw College succumb to reality and forget his desire for knowledge for the sake of golden galleons? The reason why there are many wizards like Lockhart in the wizarding world is probably because more aspiring wizards are contacting each other privately to create their own. Pure Land, the Dark Lord and the White Wizard are all just floating clouds, faced with these powerful wizards who are pure-blooded. Wizards are supreme, or everything is about love. A group of wizards directly said that they no longer want to play with you, jumped out of the chessboard, and established their own communities and homes. In the mind of the horror tour receptionist, Ryan also learned that in addition to the bottom of the Bermuda Triangle, there seemed to be a group of wizards living in seclusion on the moon. So the alien in Armstrong's moon landing port was a wizard? This chapter is not over yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. So besides the moon, is there anything on Mars? What about more distant planets? Ryan suddenly felt a little bored. Dumbledore was just a mediocre person. He did not reform the society and did not propose more progressive ideas. After reading the journal for a short time, Kate also asked passers-by. In the center of the city, there is still a library, and wizards can still borrow books. Even muggles and squibs can read if they want. The only difference from wizards is that they cannot take books out of the library and can only read them inside. The books and journals here are different. According to a bald muggle, they are relatively outdated. They are all knowledge that cannot be used in the sea. For example, there is a spell that can force a werewolf to temporarily reverse into a human when the moon is full, dragon treatment, maintenance magic, animagus improvement, etc. In this case, Kate completely forgot about the fish tank and went to the other side of the city, the seabed, to play. If Ryan hadn't pulled her, she would probably want to stay here at night. As the sky gradually darkened, the sun in the sky slowly turned into a crescent shape, emitting bright moonlight, but until then, no staff came up to explain and introduce the city. Ryan suddenly understood that there was no need to introduce this place at all, and everything along the way was the best introduction. Ryan also tried to find faults at first, such as the oppression of people who could not use magic, but Ryan found that their treatment of people who could not use magic was closer to the way kind people in his previous life treated disabled people. After all, with magic, there is no need for the services of ordinary people. Some positions specially reserved for them can show the attitude of this city. It is not that there is no dark side here, but the contract that cannot hurt each other prevents this. All competition has turned into healthy competition, such as writing articles, carrying out aircraft and sea beast driving competitions, and singing. Chapter 70 Atlantis. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the smooth dirt floor, Ryan pulled Kate, who was still flipping through past issues, and slowly walked towards the reception room. Unlike Kate, Ryan did not read any magic knowledge. After all, these were only relative truths. Thinking and the knowledge and inspiration gained through the panel were the most suitable for Ryan himself and the closest to the truth. Ryan mainly read history. In order to satisfy his curiosity, Ryan endured the discomfort from his DNA and read history books. The city was originally named Atlantis, the territory of Poseidon. After the wizards behind the horror journey discovered this place, they joined forces with the local mermaids to reoperate and repair this underwater pearl. This city has been in operation for more than 200 years. The most wizards who discovered this place are from the Ilvermorny School of Magic in the United States, followed by Hogwarts in the United Kingdom, and then Beauxbatons in France and other countries. Interestingly, among the wizards from Ilvermorny School of Witchcraft and Wizardry in the United States, the most are from the Horned Serpents College, which represents the wisdom of wizards and witches and prefers scholars. Among the wizards from Hogwarts School, the most are Ravenclaw, which represents wisdom, followed by Hufflepuff, and there are almost no Gryffindors and Slytherins. But think about it, after all, creating your own paradise and living in seclusion may be equal to cowardice in the eyes of Gryffindors who are more reckless. Unlike Ravenclaw, they tend to explore what kind of existence the world is, but emphasize what kind of existence the world should be. And the ambitious Slytherins, let alone, here, they are called sages and established a contract, restrained each other, disclosed their magic, and made progress together. Then, Atlantis revived again. The school here inherited the style of Hogwarts and divided the students into 4 colleges, but it is neither like Hogwarts, named after the surname of the first dean, nor like Ilvermorny, represented by 4 creatures. They adopted the 4 virtues of wisdom, courage, honesty and enterprising as the name of the college. Only young wizards born in this city are recruited, and even muggles and squibs can pay to attend classes, in order to commemorate the efforts of the mermaids. The city has even been transformed into a half-sea and half-land appearance. Ryan, let's go to the library tomorrow. Kate turned her head and said to Ryan. Okay, but don't forget one thing, don't try to take the books out of the library again, and foreign wizards can only read them in the library. Ryan reminded. Time passed quickly, especially happy time. It was time to leave, and Ryan was very surprised that there was no employee or behind-the-scenes staff to introduce it, as if it was just an ordinary trip. And Kate, because of the influence of the contract, although she was fascinated by the knowledge here, she didn't feel anything wrong here, and she didn't even feel uncomfortable because she could no longer see these books outside. So, at 6 o'clock in the evening, in a gorgeous room in Atlantis, Ryan and Kate stepped on a magic circle, and in a trance, they arrived at number 59 Diagon Alley. It was really advanced. Ryan had no time to sigh before he was interrupted by Kate beside him. Ryan, did we go to the bottom of the sea just now? There are cities there. And wizards. The International Federation of Wizards has never registered such a country. They even have their own school. It's incredible. Why didn't I feel anything wrong before? Ryan shook his head. Kate didn't realize that what she said just now was all the result of Ryan's mind communication skills. The moment Kate wanted to speak, the effect of the contract began, but Ryan, who had been prepared, had already connected to Kate's mind, so he could hear these complaints, but it was really amazing. This contract was ready to spread and infect Ryan when Ryan and Kate were communicating. A red light flashed on Ryan's body, and the contract disappeared, but Ryan just let it sleep on Kate's body, so as not to spread to Ryan during communication. And having this contract is also a good thing for Kate, as long as she doesn't live in Atlantis all the time. The magic of this contract will also give positive feedback to the host and promote growth. In addition, Ryan is not going to spread the news of this city. This secret realm should be isolated from the world. In fact, when Ryan knew about this contract, he even thought about developing a kind of magic, a spell that turns his memory into a bullet and shoots it into other people's minds. After all, this contract has no owner and cannot be modified. In this way, all wizards will be bound by the contract and can no longer hurt each other, and Utopia will come. But as Ryan reconnaissance and thinking in the city, Ryan discovered that the power in this contract that prevents all wizards from hurting each other does not come from itself. This power is the desire of the Atlantis wizards for a peaceful life, and there has been no battle for hundreds of years. If you leave Atlantis, the wizards bound by the contract will no longer be able to hurt each other, but they can't tell the existence of Atlantis in words or pens. This is also the magic of the contract itself, hiding this underwater secret realm, and when it doesn't exist, don't take the initiative to target it. Moreover, even if Ryan spent his eternal time to transform all places on Earth into the environment of Atlantis, he would not be able to truly bring peace. The real reason why the underwater city contract was established is that every wizard who created the contract at the beginning had the same beautiful vision. This chapter is not finished yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content later. The little wizards born in the city later are just like house elves, except that house elves lose themselves and serve wizards, while little wizards can't think of hurting others. Why do the wizards who join later only want young wizards? It is also to take advantage of the fact that their 3 views have not been formed yet, so that they can be influenced by the contract. As long as they stay in Atlantis, the newly joined young wizards will sooner or later be like other residents, and if you really want to achieve the effect of Atlantis, that is, all wizards cannot hurt each other, then it is estimated that you have to hypnotize or kill all wizards who do not meet the vision. This city can only become a small secret realm, and the model cannot be promoted. Kate, didn't you notice that you can't reveal everything about Atlantis with words, paper or pen now? Ryan replied in Kate's mind, this is a contract, that is, to enjoy unimaginable travel at a low cost in exchange for keeping secrets. Okay, I won't say anything. Kate drooped her face and said speechlessly. At this time, Kate noticed that she had returned to the UK, Diagon Alley, which was inside the Horror Tour travel agency. The staff unexpectedly did not come to collect the remaining fees. It is estimated that this trip only cost 60 gold galleons at the beginning, and it was very considerate to leave a back door that can only be opened from the inside, so you don't have to go out from the front receptionist. So, Kate, who had already understood it clearly here with Ryan, went out from the back door with Ryan and went home. It shouldn't be. Is the back door working? Shouldn't the little wizard be very curious? On the other side, the receptionist who was waiting for Ryan Kate to come out from the main door to explain was confused.